of my shop. I got one of my Christmas presents. It actually, for some reason, manufacturer or whatever, it took forever to ship it. But I bought a new combo square. I bought one from Starrett. Came nicely wrapped in this bag. Nice combo square. Right? Accurate. And my old combo square, not so accurate. And I'll explain why. This is drifted because it's basically kind of a cheap combo square. Though it proved itself accurate for numbers of years. And it worked well. This is a much nicer combo square. And I'm actually going to go ahead and show you some of the differences. Some of the differences in these two squares. Here's my old one, this is my new. Now the new square is much heavier than the old. You can tell one is, I'm not sure if it's aluminum, I believe it's aluminum. It might even be a lower grade of steel, but this one is much heavier. Another thing that I've noticed, right, is both have some features that are quite identical. On the back of this Swanson, if I unscrew this, and I liked it because it did have thread, you wouldn't lose it. It's a little scribe pin, right? And you would scribe along like that into your metal or into your wood, right? Now the Starrett has one. It doesn't screw in, it's just a friction fit, right? Which in time can be an issue. But at the same time, I've never used these pins, ever. So, I don't know how much of an issue that really is. Now let's take a look here at the level, right? I never really use it, but both of these have levels. Now actually on the older Swanson, right, that bubble level is actually easier to see. You can only see the markings here in the top where that bubble level is. The bubble level on the Swanson is got a yellow liquid, makes it a little easier to see. And the Starrett's is clear. It's a clear liquid in there. Now, then again, that's something I've never used either. I've really never used the bubble level on that at all, and I don't know why I haven't. I just never did. I have one of these, a torpedo level. I tend to use that more for leveling out small things. But that's really get down to the meat of this and what makes these two drastically different. I don't remember what I bought the Swanson for, right? The Swanson, I know it was much cheaper. I probably spent about $25 on it, $20. The Starrett is much more expensive. I think this Starrett ranges in the 75. It's been so long, I mean, and I got it as a Christmas present, that it's much more expensive. Now, we're talking probably 3 to 4 times the amount of this Swanson. So, where is that price difference noticeable in these two combo squares? I've gotten along with this Swanson for three and a half years, so it served me well. It's no longer accurate, and that's part of the reason I replaced it with a much better. So I can either go ahead, my thinking on it is I can either go ahead and buy a much better, much higher quality tool here and have it for life. Or I could keep buying these, which worked for 3 years, every 3 years or so. So I decided it made much more sense to get the quality tool at this point. This served me well. At the time, there was no way I could spend this much on this Starrett. I just couldn't do it. Now, there's people that say go ahead and buy your first tool, you know, your last tool first. That doesn't always work when you don't have anything in your shop. This is one of the first tools I ever got. And to be honest with you, I didn't know there was a difference at that time. I didn't know. I was so green. I'm like, well, let me get a good one. They had some that were terrible. Some were made of plastic, and this seemed quality to me. Now, granted, it's not bad. I'm not knocking it. I've been happy with it until now. It's no longer accurate. So, the differences, I think, in these two tools lie in some noticeable areas. So let's go in closer and take a look. If we look here, the differences lie really in their markings, right? That's an area where we're really going to notice a difference. Now, the Swanson, right here, these numbers are pressed into the steel, right? So a big press will press all the markings in, and then they're filled in with kind of a die, right? Now, to do that and to press these markings in, the steel has to be of a much smaller quality, right? And if I can slide it, I don't know if you can notice it, right? But right here at this end, the whole end of this is actually bent. Now, that's bent from me dropping it, which is part of the reason why this is out of square. But that is a much softer steel. Now, if we look at the Starrett here, right, which is right here, these numbers are actually etched into the steel. The steel is much harder, right, and therefore can't really be pressed in. So it's kind of like an acid etched is what my understanding of it is, into this steel. And you can actually feel the difference in there. And those lines then also are much crisper. Like if you look, you know, the serifs on these numbers and stuff are very crisp. You couldn't even get that on something like this because of the stamping, right? So the lines are much thinner. The lines are much more accurate. Now, if we look here at the end, you can see play in the older combo square, the cheaper one, as the Starrett here has no play in the end, right? It's very, very fine in the amount of gap there, and therefore you can tell it's just a higher quality bit. So my old combo square, it's out of tune. I went ahead and replaced it. Doesn't mean that this is totally useless though. You can go ahead and tune this up. Let's go ahead and give that a try. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and test this, right? So what I'll do is I'll just put it right on the edge of a square board. I'm going to go ahead and make a line. Now, I will make another line. As you get to the end, you can see this gap widens, right? So that shows you that these aren't truly parallel. They should be the same all the way. And that shows me the combo square is out of alignment. Now, right next to that, I'm going to take the Starrett and do the same thing. And you can see those two are dead accurate all the way across, right? This one's not. No, it's not off by that much. So I pulled the entire assembly out, right? Right. Here's the spring. This is actually what goes up in there and rides in this channel. And as you tighten it down, it's what holds this tight. And it holds it tight in here against, there are actually metal lips in here. And they're like little pins. And they were kind of like the pins I showed you on the back of the Starrett. Now if you look at the Starrett, there is a lip, right, that this rides on, right? I don't know if you can see it. So what happened is these are no longer parallel or at a 90-degree angle of this. So when this is riding in there, since they're not they're off a little, making this, I'll exaggerate, making this, no longer accurate. So to make that accurate, I'm in the back here, that back nub, I'm going to file that down a little bit. And what that'll do is that'll bring this down when it's tightened. So as it tightens, it'll go ahead and make this square. And I'll take very little off, and I'll go ahead, try again, and keep going. Okay, so I have a little file here, and I'm going to go ahead and file that down. So I just want to really use the edge of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of tape on this file, right? On the sides, right? And I'll go ahead and I'll put one on this side. And what that'll do is that'll protect the sides from wearing. We don't want to take any metal off the sides. We don't want to increase the gap there. We just want to take metal off that bottom nub. I'm just going to go in the back here and file that back nub. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reassemble it now. I only took a little bit off. We'll see if it's closer to accurate, and we'll just keep repeating. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give it another test. Just going to hold it. Right? Oh, get it ready. Draw a line. Another line. So, not too bad. There's still a gap, right? But the gap is probably about as half the distance as it was before. So I'm going to just go ahead and I will take this apart again. And I'm just going to take the file, take some more off. So I'm going to go ahead and give it another shot. Yep. Okay, those lines are now parallel, and this is back in shape. This works. So you can tune yours up, and you can do it fairly simple. I mean, it really didn't take much to get that back into square. Now the benefit of this newer one is because the metal is less soft. This will go out of square much less. And I'll be able to keep it, fairly good. Now, this one was not that hard to tune back up. I just don't want to, my idea of a good time is not tuning this up all the time. But it really wasn't that bad. It actually was easier to tune up than I thought it was going to be. So I'm pretty happy with how easy that was to tune up. And you guys can go ahead and tune that up. Now, I also saw a Woodsmith Shop episode where they talk about combo squares. You can check that out if you get that in your area. But so far I'm happy with my new one. I'm also happy with how easy it was to go ahead and fix the old one. But I'm going to talk about more things you can do with an out-of-square combo square. If it's no longer working as a combo square, you can pull it apart, right? You have a nice 6-inch rule, right? This works pretty well as a 6-inch rule. And this I can use to set my table blade to exactly 45 degrees because it's small enough that when the blade comes down, I'm not getting any of the teeth in the way to throw off the accuracy. So there's still uses for these, even though it's no longer accurate. Well, in this case, we fixed it, and it is accurate. But I still have plenty of other uses for that now that I have this new Starrett, and I'm really quite pleased with it. So, I mean, that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, feel free to email me at theinternetwoodworker@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to me on iTunes. That's where the bulk of my video is. I'm also on YouTube. So you can check me out. I'm also on Lumberjocks. Feel free to send me an email if you need anything, any questions. So until next time, enjoy your shop.